Hi guys, welcome back to EMC, Evelyn's music class. Well, as you can see, I'm wearing the same clothes as my last video. And the reason for that is because I'm filming this at the same time because I was going to do both violin terminology and also music theory, but then music theory turned out to be too long, so that's why we're making this into a separate video. So I hope you guys enjoy this lesson. So you guys know about like the song from Sound of Music where it's like do a dear. So that was teaching you the do re mi's, and usually singers use that because it can vary. Like this can be do or do. It's a little hard to like tell like what's do, what's re. And so musicians with instruments usually use A, B, C, kind of like our writing. But instead of going from A to Z, musicians only go from A to G, and it keeps on going A to G, A to G. So it goes like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. So it'll go from the bottom to the top. And there are 8 letters. And 8 letters are an octave. So an octave is when it goes from the bottom note to the top note, and there are 8 notes in between. So A, and that would be an octave. Now we know about the letters, but like how do musicians know like where to play this note or when to play that note? So we do this by writing on music. So it's like the 5 lines you see like cartoons or whatever. So these 5 lines are where you write notes in order to figure out like what to play. And there are 3 different clefs. These clefs, like they all have the same 8 letters, but like you read them differently. The first clef is called treble clef. Most people use this, like most violinists use this. Violins, violas. Treble clefs are the highest. You can imagine this thing can extend up and down. A treble clef would look like this. This is a bass clef. And then an alto clef is something like this. And so not many people use alto clef. I know singers use it and also violas use this. So I will be teaching you guys about treble clef and bass clef. So what is the difference between a treble clef and a bass clef? Well, their shapes are different, but what else is different? They're both on the 5 lines. So we're gonna make this 2 separate. Okay, so for this one, this is called a treble clef. It's also called a G clef. You can kind of remember it because it looks kind of like a G, a lowercase g. And then it's called a G clef because over here, this dot, that is the line that has G. So all treble clefs for all the music you see in the world, if it has a treble clef, a note over here means the note G. And then what about a bass clef? So a bass clef is this thing shifted downwards. So this would be an F. It's called an F clef. So this note, this dot is an F. There are 2 dots here. So I will be teaching you guys about the treble clef first before it's more confusing, because having all this terminology is very confusing. So to recap, we had the A, B, C, D, E, F, G as a octave. It's also called a scale. A scale is when you go an octave and you go in order. So you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, or you go B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Like the notes, the pitches go from bottom to up. So A is at the really bottom, G is the highest. It'll keep going up and up and up, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. It keeps going. Or it can go G, F, C, D, A, B, A. So it can go up and down. It can go even more down. So it's like infinite. But most people only use like the middle series, the middle octave, and sometimes they'll go below or above. So we're going to start with the G clef or the treble clef. I will also teach you guys how to draw it because treble clefs are pretty dang cool to draw. Like I always used to show off to my friends like, look guys, I can draw a treble clef, because it looks so artistic and so fancy. And like everyone has a different style of drawing it. It's like when you're writing letters, there's like a stroke you use. you have your 5 lines. Then a treble clef starts on the second line. So start from the second line, you'll draw a dot, and then you're going to go up. It doesn't matter how far you go, you're going to make like a little circle, to here, and then you're going to go up, you're going to go in a little, and then you're going to draw a line straight down, and then you're going to curve it, and you're going to draw another dot. And this is your treble clef. It's not perfect, but if you search up like Beethoven or Bach, and those are like famous composers, if you search them up and you search up their music, they wrote music by hand. Most of the music you see today is like printed out on like paper, and it's like really equal and everything looks perfect. But like these musicians, like their treble clefs looked like this, because like they were just so busy composing that like they didn't have to bother to write down like so much of the details of a treble clef. But you guys can draw a pretty treble clef, so you guys can practice at home and perfect your treble clefs. So the last thing we will be learning today is showing a notes on paper. So I have my G clef or treble clef, treble, okay? And then so we know this note, this is a note, right? When you put a little dot on it, that's a note. So every time I see this on the music, I'll be like, oh, that's a G, because remember the second line is a G. It doesn't matter if you don't memorize it, but it's better to memorize it. Just remember this is G, and when you go up over here, so you go line, space, line, space. After you go G, what's higher than G? It's not H, but it's A. So this is an A. And then next you go line, space, line. After A is B. After B you have space, C. And then you can continue like D, E, F. So this is space, so this is a line, and this is a space, and this is a line. And that is our scale. So now we're gonna go down to this line, the first line, because like what's underneath? I don't know yet. So we go down here. So before G is F. And then we're gonna go down one more to this line. Let's draw it right here, is E. A really good way to remember this is remembering face. So this is basically telling you what the spaces are. So you have your 5 lines, your treble clef. You're going to always have to write this treble clef, or if you don't have it, no one will know like what range you're going to be having at. Because remember, bass clef is like lower, so then like you're going to be starting from like F on this line instead of like G over here. So over here, the first one is F. So the first space over here is F. And then you're going to go here. And then the next space is A. Next space is C. And the next space is E. Face. This is a really good acronym. Just remember, this space is E, this space is C, this space is A, and this space is F. So you now know the spaces of the 5 lines, but what about the lines? The other acronym you have to remember is every good boy deserves fudge, because fudge is good and good boys deserve food. So it's the same thing. From bottom to top, have your treble clef. Oops. Okay, so the first line is E. This note is G. This line is B. This line is D. And this line is F. And this is the lines of the 5 lines. So now you guys should be able to read music. Next week I'll give you guys a little quiz to review what we learned today. And you guys can keep reviewing at home. And then I'll teach some more music theory next week. And I'll see you then. Bye!
Hi, we're your IFA co-founders. I'm Ellie.
And I'm Miriam.
And thank you so much for watching our videos.
You guys can learn more about our cause down below at our website, www.inspirationfinearts.org.
And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We couldn't be where we are without the support of you guys, so make sure to send in videos of the things that you've learned during classes and pictures of the art that you completed.
Everything you send in will be featured on all our social media platforms.
Thanks for supporting us, and until next time,
Go find your inspiration!